and welcome to, or welcome back to, Riversticks Media. Around here we do a little thing called a monthly book review for the new people that haven't seen this channel. And for returning ones, you know the deal. Every month, beginning of the month, we do a book review. And this month we are reviewing A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me. First off, we're going to cover a little bit, have this, I'm guessing it's a wolf beast thing that actually is one of the main characters in their beast form. The back is just a little bit about the author, tells you a little bit about the story and the reviews. Pretty basic for any book, but so this is the first in the series. I believe there is 5 books in the series, and each has titles similar to this. I believe it's like A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and so on and so forth. I did pick up the second book because I was quite impressed with this. So this is a fantasy romance, I guess. Very similar to Fourth Wing, which I believe I reviewed last month. So it has a fantasy theme to it. It's not a romance that it's smut all the time. I think I described it as, I think I described Fourth Wing. I'm trying to remember back to how I described it. It was a month ago. My memory's not that great. It's not smut all the time. It's not a penthouse novel. It's not a Harlequin novel. Like, there is an actual story, and yes, there is a little bit of smut in it, but it's not like from cover to cover. So the story is that this young, I believe 19-year-old girl named Feyre, I'm pronouncing it Feyre, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, it's spelled F-E-Y-R-E, it's probably pronounced Fairy, or I pronounce it Feyre. So she's out in the woods and she kills a wolf. And she skins it, she brings it back to town, she sells it to a mercenary. Well, it turns out that wolf was actually a fairy. So in the world, there is the human world, there's an invisible wall, and then there's the fairy world. So there was a big war hundreds of years before, and it finally got to a point that they just agreed, hey, we'll stay on our side of the wall, you guys stay on your side. So she kills this wolf. She didn't realize it was a fairy at the time. She kills it. Another fairy comes to her house and ends up taking her away as, I guess, punishment. So, but it turns out that the fairy that ends up taking her away is a high fairy lord, and he's actually the lord of the Court of Spring. So the way that they broke it up is that there's a high lord or high lady of the different, like, spring, summer, winter, autumn, day, night, dawn, and like, there's all these fairy lords. So without giving it too much away, they end up falling in love with each other, and Feyre ends up having to actually go back to the world. He takes her out, and then she ends up going back. It was a good story. I was quite impressed with it. I was recommended this by a friend of mine who absolutely loves the series, can't talk enough about it, and I can see why, because it is a good series. Like I said, I did pick up the second book. I'm not gonna pick up the whole series one right after the other. All at the same time. I'm gonna just read each book individually, and maybe I'll do a review of the series as a whole down the road. But yeah, it's a good series. I have heard that the final book is a little bit more smuttier than the others, but honestly, the worst romance novel that I've read, that I've done a review of, was Outlander, and that's because I think it was more, I was expecting it to be a little bit different than it was, but it seemed to be sex non-stop throughout the entire story, and I guess that appeals to some readers. I guess that appeals to some female readers, but I'm a guy. I like having a story. I like having, yeah, a little bit of sex is okay, but like not like every second or third chapter. But yeah, I recommend picking these up, and yeah, that's my recommendation, is pick them up, see how you like it. Not everybody's into the fantasy and that, but it's at its core, just like Fourth Wing was. It's at its core, it's a fantasy novel, and it has a little bit of romance in it. It has a little bit of smut, but yeah, like it's tame compared to a Harlequin or a non-stop sex like every page. So yeah, like and as always, if there are any books that you want me to review in the future, leave a comment down below. I will see if I have it. If I don't have it, I'll see about getting it. And we'll see you next month.